This man was out in the dead of winter, drinking water from a metal pot, but instead of swallowing it, he suddenly spat the water onto a long wooden board. The freezing cold instantly turned the water into a thin layer of ice. It turned out Pete was trying to make the sled glide more smoothly. He and Jack had been trekking through the Arctic for 84 days, hoping to discover a new land, but so far, they hadn't found anything. Pete was forced to stop and pull out a map to rethink their route. Jack, standing nearby, looked restless and uneasy. Seeing this, Pete walked over to encourage him, but just then, something in the distance caught his eye. Jack followed Pete's gaze and was stunned to see a pile of rocks that hadn't been there before. They rushed over. Pete started moving the stones and uncovered something hidden beneath, a bamboo tube. He sat down and quickly opened it. Inside was a letter and a map, and that map showed the exact location of the new land they had been desperately searching for. Now, there was no need to keep pushing forward. All they had to do was bring the map back. So the two turned around and began the journey home. After walking for who knows how long, they came upon a frozen river. To get back, they had to cross it. Not knowing if the ice would hold, they built a small stone marker and hid the map inside, just in case. Then, tying a rope between them, they started moving carefully. Pete led the way, cautiously testing the ice, while Jack stepped in his exact footprints behind him. Working in perfect sync, they successfully made it across. As they climbed up the other side, they saw a tall pole with a sail-like marker on it. They recognized it instantly. This was the spot where Arctic expedition teams used to dock their ships. Overjoyed, they ran toward it, thinking they might finally catch a ride home. But when they arrived, they realized all the ships had long since left. Luckily, they found two cabins nearby, filled with enough supplies to last them for years. With no better option, they decided to stay there for now. But just a few days later, Pete had a terrible nightmare. He dreamed that a polar bear had destroyed the hidden map. Waking up in a panic, he shook Jack awake. They had to go back and retrieve the map. Before leaving, Jack suggested they leave a note on the door, just in case someone came by and didn't know they were alive. But Pete waved it off, saying they'd be back quickly. When they returned, the cabin door was wide open. Someone had clearly been there. Inside, they found no people, only a note on the table. It turned out an expedition team had passed through while they were gone. Pete instantly regretted not listening to Jack. As the days wore on, guilt began to eat away at Pete. Eventually, it started affecting his mind. He became obsessed with the idea that someone would come to rescue them. Then one day, Pete saw something in the sky near a signal pole. He grabbed the binoculars and couldn't believe his eyes. It was a hot air balloon. He waved frantically for help and ran toward it. To his shock and joy, the person in the balloon was his wife. Overcome with emotion, he threw his arms around her. Jack, arriving shortly after, caught sight of the scene. But what he saw was Pete standing there all alone, hugging nothing but empty air.